So during this presentation, I will go through the theories, the hypotheses, the method. I will present the main results and the recommendations. Writing in a second language. Writing in a second language is a complex and demanding activity. And that's requiring attentional resources of the writer's working memory for information processing. The main theories underpinning this study are the cognitive appraisal, the affective filter hypothesis, and the interference account. According to the cognitive appraisal model, writing in a second language could be seen as a threat, or as an opportunity. So the threat framing emphasizes potential negative outcomes, therefore increasing people's anxiety, and with the desire to avoid situation or the activity is basically viewed as a source of threat. The opportunity framing entails seeing potential gains as more important than potential losses. The affective filter hypothesis highlights adverse emotional factors such as low motivation and high anxiety, which would reduce the amount of information that the writer can process, and which will affect the output. The third theory, which is the interference account, focuses on anxiety and how it affects students' writing performance because it depletes the resources necessary for the storage, retrieval, and manipulation of information in the working memory. The current study is motivated by comments made by freshmen in a previous study and how they approached the task of writing in English. These students' answers differed by major, so the vast majority of STEM students viewed writing in a second language as an opportunity, while most non-STEM students approached it as a threat. Therefore, we ask in this study, we ask the following main questions. Do STEM and non-STEM undergraduate students differ in their writing anxiety and in the quantity and quality of their writing output? And the second main question that this study seeks to answer is, to what extent do different types of anxiety predict writing quantity and quality indices in the two subject groups? Before going on, we need to mention that we view anxiety following Chang 2004. So we focus on three types of anxiety. The somatic anxiety, which is basically intense bodily nervousness, such as trembling or rapid heart rates, avoidance behavior, such as procrastination, and the cognitive anxiety, which is basically disruptions of thought processes, such as fears of being negatively evaluated. The hypothesis of this study, the main hypothesis is, if STEM and non-STEM students approach the task of writing in a second language differently, they and their writing outputs will be susceptible to different types of anxiety. So we hypothesize first that if STEM students see difficulties through an opportunity frame, they'd experience overall less somatic and cognitive anxiety, as well as engage in less behavioral avoidance than non-STEM students. The second hypothesis is if anxiety differs between subject groups, quantity and quality measures of the output of writing will also be different. The last hypothesis is avoidance behavior would more strongly predict declines in the quality and quantity of the written output for non-STEM students than for STEM students. In this study, we had more than 500 female undergraduate students from a university in Saudi Arabia that used the US curriculum, followed student-centered instructions. The students were Arabic and English speakers, and their level of proficiency ranged between modest to competent users of English language according to IELTS writing scores. So we had about 42% of students from STEM majors and 57 from non-STEM majors. The participation rate was above 97%. After having the informed consent of the students, they were asked to answer a few demographic questions and also to write a brief paragraph regarding their college life. Then they had to complete a revised version of the second language writing anxiety inventory of Ching. This inventory aims to assess students' writing anxiety. So students had to respond to each statement in this inventory, and the 3 dimensions of anxiety were included. The text written by participants was organized into 2 sets of indices, one measuring quantity and one measuring quality. The ETS software was used to automate scoring. The t-test to calculate differences between STEM and non-STEM students in writing anxiety and quantity and quality measures between their written outputs and of their written outputs. Pearson correlations were used to calculate the correlation between students' written outputs and their or the type of anxiety they had. So the quantity indices meant to assess whether anxiety was related to changes in students' word output. So we looked at the number of words, sentences, and the mean number of words per sentences. As far as quality indices are involved, we looked at the word level and at the sentence level. So at the word level, the quantity indices were intended to test whether anxiety predicted the use of fewer low frequency words and more concrete words, while the sentence level, specifically the syntactic complexity and lexical cohesion, were intended to assess whether anxiety predicted qualitative declines in students' written output. The main results of the present study can be summarized in the 3 following points. Even though very little or no anxiety was reported by most students, STEM learners showed less somatic and behavioral avoidance than non-STEM learners, whereas no specific differences emerged for cognitive anxiety. Thus, the hypothesis 1 was partially supported. Unlike the second hypothesis, which was not supported, as quantity and quality measures did not display similar group differences. Only one index, that's the number of words percentage, displayed a difference, but in favor of non-STEM learners. The third hypothesis was not supported either. In STEM's learners, all types of anxiety predicted text that was shorter and with fewer and familiar frequency words, while in non-STEM learners, only behavioral avoidance predicted shorter and less cohesive text. So these findings suggest that there are indeed differences in the emotional approach to writing in second language of STEM and non-STEM students. So when proficiency ranges from moderate to competent, anxiety may be less prevalent in STEM learners. However, we need to mention that anxiety is related to only minor quantitative and qualitative aspects of the learner's writing performance. Therefore, for these learners, inventions that are intended to enhance the quality and quantity of their writing may focus on other variables such as self-efficacy. The main limitations of this study is that vocabulary and syntactic errors were not considered, and participants' proficiency varied from moderate to competent. If we were to go for a larger and more homogeneous sample, so the relationships between anxiety and performance measure might be stronger. Also, we need to remember that students were required to write within a limited time frame, but without any impending assessment of their performance, which if it was not the case, they might, their anxiety might be experienced differently. So to conclude, we will say that although writing anxiety was more dominant in non-STEM students, it did not translate into written outputs that were qualitatively inferior. Writing anxiety may lead students to reflect on their writing, making them more cautious and thoughtful. Recommendations of this study is that for plans to enhance the writing of speakers whose proficiency in a second language is moderate or competent, may need to acknowledge that different types of anxiety are experienced by STEM and non-STEM students, and that focus on anxiety in particular should be as a conduit to plans that enhance an opportunity approach. Special thanks to the members of the PMU Undergraduate Research Society and the colleagues of the PMU Cognitive Research Center. Thank you all for attending. I will give the floor to one question or two questions because we need to move to the next session. Do we have any questions? All right, so since we don't have any specific questions, we are moving to the next talk. So we now welcome our second speaker, Nguyen Huynh, who comes from PT University from Vietnam, and whose presentation evaluates the role of digital tools in language learning by specifically exploring language students' perceptions of using Grammarly in academic writing. Mr. Nguyen,
Thank you, Dr. Kort. I'm going to share my slides.
Please.
Okay, so I would like to start my presentation. The title of the current study is English language students' perception of using Grammarly in academic writing subject. And I'm Nguyen Huynh from Vietnam. There are some sections in my presentation. The first one is the introduction. So I'm going to tell you the rationale of the current study. I'm going to show you two research questions and the literature review. I will have a general look related to about related papers. Methodology, I'm going to explain something related to research design, participant, and the two instruments of the current study. result. I'm going to tell you the result from the questionnaire and the interviews. Based on the result, there is an interpretation. And the last one, conclusion, limitation, and recommendation. So this is the first part of my presentation. I would like to talk very something general about writing. So among the 4 skills in English, writing is considered to be essential, necessary, important to acquire a language. And a group of researchers claim that writing can be used as a medium to offer creative as well as reflexive insights or knowledge and a deep understanding of a complicated issue to readers. And to enhance the quality of the writing, students can use a lot of online platforms such as Kahoot, Quiz, and Grammarly. So with the development of technology, students, EL students can use one of them to enhance the quality of their writing. So in the current study, I will focus on Grammarly, and this is the main topic of the current study. Two other researchers highly recommend Grammarly thanks to its ease of use, its popularity, and effectiveness for EL students to improve their writing. And the current study is guided by the 2 following questions. The first one, what are EL students' perceptions of using Grammarly in academic writing subject? And the second research question is, how do students perceive the benefits and drawbacks of utilizing Grammarly in academic writing subject? I would like to start literature reviews by the definition of perception. So, Badir 2019 defines perception as the people believe as well as perspective about the world. And other researchers think that perception is people's point of view, which can be adjusted after they experience certain things about the world around them. So there are so many definitions about perception, but the current study defines perception as EL students' belief and opinions on the use of Grammarly in the course academic writing in their university curriculum. Let's talk a little bit about writing and academic writing. So writing is considered the people's ability to express ideas in their mind, which others can read and understand. And writing is an English productive skill. Academic writing is used in more formal educational settings, and academic writing has some features. It's very challenging for students, especially EL students. Academic writing can be beneficial for the lecturers or the teachers to conduct students' assessments, and this type of writing empowers students to prove their skill and knowledge acquisition. The next part is the effectiveness of Grammarly application in academic writing. Feature 2021 say that Grammarly is a tool used to analyze any composition and offer feedback in terms of grammar, writing style, spelling, and punctuation. Other 2 researchers say that Grammarly is a valuable tool to detect or to check grammatical mistakes for students. Other 2 students think that in recent years, Grammarly has grown its popularity among EL students in learning academic writing. This is the conceptual framework of the current study. So the current study is conducted related to the students' perceived knowledge in terms of Grammarly application and its features. So such knowledge is examined by investigating how students accept, understand, and evaluate this writing tool, Grammarly. There are 50 English major students, I would say EL students. All of them took academic writing subject, which is compulsory in their university curriculum, and all of them took the final exam and all passed the final exam. The 50 students had to do the questionnaire with 15 questions. Then 10 of them were randomly chosen for the interviews. There are two research instruments in the current study. The first one is the questionnaire with 15 questions, and the questionnaire is based on the 5-point Likert scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And there are 3 aspects, 5 questions for 1 aspect. And to ensure the reliability of the current instrument, during the procedure of collecting quantitative data, SPSS 25 is used, and the value shows that the current study is reliable. And the second research instrument is the interviews. 10 participants will answered 3 questions. I will tell you the results from the questionnaires. Table 2 presents the findings of the question with 15 items, and it shows that students' perception of using Grammarly in academic writing is quite high. And the 3 aspects related to the students' perception are quite high. All of them are above 3. As you can see, the result in table number 3. Okay, I will go into details. The first aspect, EL students accepting the use of Grammarly in academic writing. So it can be concluded that they accept to use this application as a writing tool to help them improve the quality of their conversation in academic writing subject. The second aspect, EL students understanding the use of Grammarly. So the use of Grammarly can be understood by these participants in learning this subject. And the third aspect, students evaluating the use of Grammarly. So as you can see the result in table number 6. So the conclusion is the participants evaluate. They have the ability to evaluate the importance of Grammarly for their writing improvement. I would like to continue with the results for the interviews. So for the first aspect, 50 participants are asked to speak out 2 reasons for their using this tool in academic writing subjects, and 6 out of 10 EL students think that this application is quite easy to use. And interestingly, there are 3 responses related to students' confidence. So the student tell me that they feel more confident after they ask Grammarly to check their grammatical mistakes, and they can even learn from their mistakes. So the conclusion is most of the participants show their acceptance toward the tool thanks to its usefulness in such a complicated kind of writing in university, that's the academic writing. We move to the second aspect, their understanding of the use, understanding the use of Grammarly. So out of 10 EL students claim that they can avoid making grammatical mistakes after they use Grammarly. Besides grammar, some of them use Grammarly as a tool to correct their spelling and punctuation errors. So it can be concluded that according to the responses to this question, the participants are able to understand how Grammarly can be used to enhance their writing skill with 3 elements of a language. That's a spelling, grammar, and punctuation.
I would like
And
to ask you to
the
wrap up.
result, the result from the questionnaire related to the third aspect, student evaluating. So out of 10 participants agree that at the present, Grammarly is suitable for their learning academic writing. And 2 of them think that sometimes Grammarly provides incorrect feedback and inappropriate suggestions. So after a period of time using this writing tool, the participants have the ability to evaluate its effectiveness. But beside the benefits, Grammarly still has some shortcomings. Students can distinguish correct grammatical rules from inappropriate suggestions.
Thank you very much. And we will move now to questions. We have 1 to 2 minutes for questions. Thank you very much.